Yeah, boundaries, right. Boundaries, we hear a lot about boundaries lately, and people often think a boundary is what you set uh, for someone else not to cross or someone else to hold, where really a boundary is what you will and will not accept, what you will and will not tolerate for yourself. So it is the boundary is between you and you, really. And it could be my boundary is I'm not going to go to sleep listening to my phone anymore, or my boundary is I'm going to go to yoga every other day, or my boundary is I'm going to cut down on my alcohol, or my boundary is I'm not going to gossip. So it's what we will and will not accept or tolerate. It could be within ourselves or within another person, somebody else's behavior. But what we have to remember, and we'll talk about, is the boundaries always between you, ourselves, not for somebody else to uphold, because it's not their boundary.
Okay. Um, okay, so what if we're in a relationship? I'm just kind of jumping right into this one, but what if we're in a relationship and our boundaries are conflicting? Is there any way around that?
Well, it sounds like if you're saying boundaries are conflicting, it sounds kind of like what you want in a relationship are conflicting. Or can you give me an example? Because that sounds more like values or what you want or what you're looking for that's conflicting.
Okay, yeah. I didn't have a specific example in mind, so give me a minute and I'll sorry. I don't know. I don't have one in mind,
No, that's
but
okay.
but I think
It,
that's a really good point.
because that's what a lot of right. A lot of people think it's like, okay, this is what I think and this is what you think. And those aren't really boundaries. So let's say your husband or your roommate always leaves the dishes in the sink, and you can't stand it, and you end up washing them, and you've asked them not to do it, and they're not going to, they're not going to listen, because no, I don't want to do the dishes. So a way there's these actual scripts that you can use that are very simple, and you may say, hey, I really feel disrespected when you constantly leave your dishes in the sink. Are you willing to wash your dishes? And if they're reasonable, they'll say, "Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you felt like that. I will do that." Now, let's say they're not reasonable. So you always have that's like your plan A. You'll have a plan B ready. So, what are you going to do to take care of yourself if they don't comply? If they're not going to say, "Yeah, sure, I'll do my dishes," what are you going to do? So, let's say one thing might be, okay, well, since you uh, refuse to take responsibility and wash your dishes, I'm going to be serving dinner on paper plates from now on. That may be you could think of an action that you will take to honor and take care of yourself.
Mm.
Let's say there's a neighbor whose dog keeps coming over in your yard and doing his business in your yard, and they won't stop it. So you say to your neighbor, Listen, I really feel uncomfortable when your dog comes over and does his business in my yard. Are you willing to keep your dog in your own yard?" If they say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," then that's great. If they don't, if they're still not doing it, you say, "Since you're not willing to take responsibility and keep your dog in your yard, the next time your dog comes in my yard, I'll be calling animal control," or whatever. So you decide, and then you've got to hold it. If you say that's what you're going to do, you have to do it, because then you're just the person who cries wolf.
Mm.
And so sometimes we may think, "Oh, the other person, how are they going to feel? Are they going to be offended? Are they going to be hurt?" But taking care of ourselves, and in a nice way, we don't have to be nasty about it, but knowing what we need for ourselves, there's nothing mean about it. It's self-preservation, it's self-nurturing. Being selfish is not a bad word.